game day.
Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. We are live streaming on YouTube right now during Monday Night Football. Got Quentin here. What's up, my man?
This is exciting.
Yes, it's our best to get this all worked out, but it looks like it's going fairly well. And right now, it looks like Russell Wilson's got somewhat of a game left in him. He doesn't look like Fran Tarkenton out.
So
I should say the 58.
He's looked okay today.
throw.
Russell Wilson is really only going to get better if he goes back to that running game, which he had early in his career. And if he
Back to the way he was. He really needs to go back to that.
running that he used to have when he was back in Seattle.
Yeah, I agree.
He needs to have
Sort of throws the way the Patrick Mahomes style throws. Russell Wilson
wasn't
really
really
did.
that a lot early in his career. It wasn't as successful, as Patrick Mahomes, but it's still pretty successful.
Yeah. He needs to. He really needs to step up his game in general. I mean, I don't know what he's not seeing, but it was pretty obvious after last week's performance that he had some pretty frustrated wide receivers. And when you get people that angry that quickly, like right now, I mean, it's pretty much 3 and out. So I don't know what he needs to do to help his game other than maybe, Kyle Brandt was right. Maybe he thinks he's, him and his wife are Jay-Z and Beyonce, he needs to get over that whole Hollywood Walk of Fame crap and actually remember he plays football. Maybe that's the problem. Don't know. But as it stands right now, he's not doing too well. And honestly, after last week, I didn't give him winning 5 games.
I mean, I still have him finishing last in the division, just like I have at the beginning of the year. And my biggest reason was that that defense wasn't going to be as good, and when you bring in a brand new, I just feel like it's hard for those two things to mesh in one season.
I agree. I know that part of the problem, and what I noticed with the Seattle team now versus the Russell Wilson Seattle team, it gives me a pretty good indication of why Pete Carroll and Wilson didn't get along that well. He needs help, a lot of help to be successful. And he just did, look what Geno Smith is doing over there. Honestly, he's got the same wide receivers. The only thing they upgraded on a little bit, I think they added 1 or maybe 2 offensive linemen. They did nothing crazy. But Geno Smith is leading the league in a lot of categories right now. And don't be surprised if they're one of the teams that you see fighting for a 1 or 2 seed at the end of the season in the NFC. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
It would be funny if Geno Smith ended up getting an MVP vote. Not necessarily winning the award, but just getting a vote there in Seattle when Russell Wilson, it became one of the worst kept secrets in the NFL. Wanted was to get recognized by MVP voters, and then Geno Smith comes in and gets a vote.
Yeah, that would be to say the least. I don't know, man. He just doesn't seem like he has the good God. Austin Eckler's a beast. But I tell you what, I just noticed him doing leg presses. But I noticed Jalen Hurts deadlifting with his legs 600 pounds. That's a lot of weight for a small guy. I mean, I shouldn't say a
in
small guy, but
in the Travis Kelsey in the Kelsey brothers podcast,
uh,
they talked about that about Jason Kelsey is standing there watching this quarterback just do that right in front of him.
it's just amazing that he's that strong. His lower body strength is insane. But anyway, I just don't know what they need in Denver to succeed. They put all their eggs in one basket with Wilson, and they gave away their future. So,
Well, they in the pregame, they talked about how essentially 10 players away for the for Russell Wilson. With if you include the draft picks as players, they traded away 10 players to get Russell Wilson.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they really sold their future away to get Russell Wilson, and for him to start off the way he has been pretty bad for the Broncos. It's great as a Chiefs fan.
oh yeah, without fail. I think the Raiders might be able to figure a couple of things out moving forward. I honestly didn't have them doing much, just given the fact that they gave everyone away, all their first and second round picks. You know, that was a little, I think, arrogant of McDaniels, just because it's a coaching thing. You don't want somebody else's picks. I get all that, but you still don't want to walk into a season and win one or two games either. Coming from a team that wins so often, or has and had so many Super Bowls, and supposedly he was part of that success. Now, if you go back to the 2010 season with McDaniels and what he did in Denver was minimal at best, other than cheat and got caught at it. I don't, I just don't see him as a head coach that's going to be able to succeed on all phases of the ball. He's offensive minded. I understand that, but I don't believe he is the quintessential head coach, if that makes sense. Look at Matt Patricia.
To me, that the Raiders have Kirk Cousins. They have Kirk Cousins 2.0. They have a guy that can go out and win games, but he's not going to necessarily lose you a lot. Can win you some games, but he's not a guy that's going to be. I think that's just sort of the boat that the Raiders are stuck in right now. Sort of like where the Chiefs were with Alex Smith, where you have a quality guy, but the team is the league is moving in such an elite quarterback level that if you don't have one of those few guys, you're really betting on the rest of your team being so good to outplay the elite quarterbacks of the league. And I think
agree.
that's where the Raiders are stuck right now.
I agree. And, a pretty good thing was posed a question. And what I want to do is I want to bring Justin on. He wanted to come on and talk about it as well. I'm going to invite him in a second, but there was a question posed, and he brought it up earlier, that about defenses and the differences in what coaching and what organizations are looking at now because of the style of football that's played, the air attack game. Everybody wants to see high-flying games. They don't want to see pound the rock, they want to see that 3/4 of the game. They don't want to see that being 70% of a football game. They want to see bombs. They want to see air, first downs in the air. They want touchdowns in the air. They want all of that. Been a struggle for a lot of defenses simply because, one, you've got so many protocols in place for the offense as far as protection is concerned, OPIs, or DPIs, I should say, taunting, all of these things that have gone on, but yet defenses are kind of handcuffed. And that's not really helping in any way. for a defense to, or for a team to succeed. and it makes it very difficult going through the season. And you have, inconsistent referees, and then you also have defenses that aren't really trained to be, if that makes sense, or I guess up to speed as far as how to attack these style of defenses or offenses now. And I'm wondering, I'm going to bring Justin in, and he's going to jump on and talk about it as well. But because he's the one that actually brought it up to me, and it's actually a really good question. Let me see if he's ready.
I will say this. I do think that there is going to be some reversion to the mean in terms of high-powered offenses. I do think that there's a chance that there are some teams that are going to come out and reject the high-powered run, throwing the ball, sort of more college-style offense. And I think there are going to be some teams that realize that they don't have an elite quarterback. The solution to that is going to just be, let's run the ball. I do think that we're going to see some really successful teams without an elite quarterback that are
because of it.
It's crazy. Really, I guess 6 years has really evolved so much as far as the passing game is concerned. It's really gotten a lot more. A nice flag. Maybe not. They've gotten a lot more. The air attack has really, I guess, since 2018 has really become prevalent in the NFL, and every quarterback wants to be Mahomes. Every quarterback wants to be Allen. You can't always be Mahomes and Allen. They have to learn to play their own game, similar to what Jalen Hurts has done. Look, Jalen Hurts he's went through, I think, 7 offensive coordinators through his college and NFL career. And now this is the first time that he's had the same offensive coordinator for 2 years straight.
Do they just keep throwing pass interference flags?
One after another. It's crazy. I think the frustration is starting to come out a little bit on Denver's side. I don't know who's right. Did they say this was both? What's that?
That was a weak pass interference call.
It was. It
was a
very
weak pass
weak. And this
interference
I'm not really sure. I don't this one, but if it's Jerome Boger's crew, then you might as well expect that constantly. There was a call yesterday. It is Boger's crew. I can see him standing there. There was a call yesterday during a game, and you have a down judge and a sideline judge, and it was over a first down call. It was clearly a first down. The sideline judge called it a first down, and the down judge immediately put his fist up as fourth down. They didn't apparently nobody looked at it, and I don't think it was a challengeable call at the time. But a few of the NFL analysts, referee analysts, and came on and said this has got to end. I watched this during a few different shows, and they were all on saying, going forward, they have to make some changes. I don't know what they can do. I mean, you can't take the human element out of it. You can't go to complete robots, but you also have to have some type of accountability when it comes to this, because when you're caught, and it goes back to 2018, team Super Bowl opportunities or getting somebody severely injured, and these refs are not calling it. And then it just continues on. And every year they say they're going to fix this, they're going to fix that. And then it ends up being something else that they kind of screw up when it really boils down to it. It's like they fixate themselves on one thing because they get reprimanded for doing something else. So they just continue to really kind of like, I guess, just emphasize one thing. Similar like to what they did in the Buffalo game with taunting with the Chiefs. Okay, you got a guy that, does the finger sniff for a first down and really didn't do anything wrong. But then you got Diggs that is flexing and running his mouth over the players after he made a catch, 5 or 6 seconds, and nobody said a thing about it. So I guess that's something that, I've made some phone calls to find out what is going on and what they're doing. And this is what I'm told. The words that were mentioned or were said to me were, we have tried everything in our power to make everyone happy. We're not going to be able to do that. If we change the rules like they did for Buffalo with the overtime rules, like they've done for Tom Brady numerous times, it just makes other people annoyed. It pisses other teams off. It doesn't benefit everybody all the time. But I don't like that statement because, and then they brought up, let me go back. They brought up the network situation. If we have to replay every single call, every single hold, every single DPI, OPI, whatever you want to call it, roughing the passer, whatever. If New York says it's not clear, it takes a good, anywhere from 5 to 15, sometimes 30 seconds to review each play. So that means they would have to review every play. No one's asking for that. What they're asking for is if it's a blatant mistake, similar to what happened the week prior with Chris Jones. That was a great example. That's what needs to be reviewed. That's when New York needs to step in and say, hey, wait a minute. That's really not roughing the passer. You need to pick the flag up and say there's no call on roughing the passer and leave it at that. If it's they're not allowing defenses to actually play the game. And if they want flag football, they can get it, but they're going to lose a lot of revenue by going that direction. And right now, DBs and corners are scared to death to do anything. I mean, how many times do you remember when Breezy played for us? And I can specifically remember so many different instances where the ball hadn't even been snapped yet, and the ref has got his hand in his back pocket. If he's seen Mahomes in the shotgun, his hand was in his back. The quarterback on the opposite field in a shotgun, he had his hand in his back pocket when Breezy was on the field. They wanted to call the flag on him. He already had it. Chris Jones every year consistently since 2018 has had a crap call against him, at least one. And I'm not just saying it's the Chiefs. We see it more prevalent in the Chiefs because we watch the game more or watch the team more. But it's league wide right now. It's not just us. I know everybody, we had people on Twitter, say that, it seems like it's always against the Chiefs. It's really not. It happens to a lot of teams. We just don't really pay that much attention, or most people don't, I should say, to what's going on during those games. So watching 16 games and seeing this happen in 15 of the 16 games, it's like, okay, when is this going to end? At some point, New York has to. They have a group that are designated to watch frame by frame. Why not have them say, hey, wait a minute, tell the ref to pick the flag up. It's not a penalty. That takes no time at all. You don't have to sit and review it in a box for 30 seconds. The New York office has already reviewed it. Before the ball is snapped, just say, or before they even finish the call, that it's a penalty. Say, hey, pick the penalty up. They hear it through their headsets. They can communicate through their headsets with New York and with themselves. Pick the flag up, move forward. And just say, there's no penalty for this. They do it on other plays, so why can't they do it? The refs get together and make that decision. So why is it that New York can't make that decision for them? Because they're sitting there and they're watching the game in slow-mo, frame by frame. It's pretty simple to do. And if it's going to cost a team a Super Bowl or a 1 seed or it's a playoff implication, which it has been every certain team, us being one of them, AFC Championship game against the Patriots in 2000. That call for Chris Jones was bogus. And everybody
where his hand came up and touched his shoulder pad.
Brushed him. It was a brush. He was knocking the lint off his shoulder, and it's roughing the passer. So that when people start coming up with the conspiracy theories that these refs got to bet on the game, or one thing I will say is that, look, nobody's going to be an NFL ref unless they are a fan of football. It's not good. They have to be. I mean, why would you pick that as a career if you hate the game? So if that's what you're going to do, then you can't be so biased. You have to just call it like it is. And when you got fans that are throwing shit at you and saying, hey, you know what? Watch your back on the way out. That gets to a point where it's bad. And that's what happened during the Kansas City game. And people can say what they want. We could have been the Raiders fans and thrown full bottles at them, or ripped chairs off the seats and threw it at them. Or with what happened to us back in the 90s, full D-sized batteries flying across the field for no reason whatsoever. And that wasn't even about a call. That was just Raider fans being Raider fans.
You know, I think that the NFL has to do with one being consistent on these calls, especially those calls that are strictly whatever you see, or taunting, those sort of things. Those are changed person by person. The NFL needs to come up with a better way of making sure those are called more universal. Generally, any rule, any penalty that involves one guy talking to another guy, I don't like those penalties being thrown. I know it's hurt the Chiefs twice this year. Look, football players are going to smack talk, and I know the justification from the NFL standpoint of, you know, we don't want them doing it because of the kids. I guess you've never been to a children's event because children are hella smack talkers. Okay, so
big time.
I
Catch a hot mic.
hear what they're saying, and that really doesn't happen. Is afterwards on Twitter.
Yeah.
The NFL needs to do a better job at calling penalties that are more universally, and then just getting rid of those dumb stuff that shouldn't even be penalties, because it's a 15-yard penalty that can literally change the game, and we've seen that this year as Chiefs fans. But just generally speaking, it's frustrating to see those flags get called. On the other side of it, I'm happy that they've eased up on some of the defensive pass interference stuff. You know, you don't have to turn around to look for the ball anymore for it to block the ball. They got rid of that.
Well, unless you're Fenton.
I still think they need to remove the rule. If the ball is underthrown, a pass interference call can't be thrown, because offense are benefiting from their quarterback having a weaker arm.
And not only that, you're right.
Inherently a negative play, and you're getting positive yards, and it's a spot foul, and those happen on bomb throws, and it's an automatic first down. I hate the fact that offense can benefit from an underthrown ball.
Well, and you know, when you think, I look at some of the penalties for holding that are called downfield. And
You're calling a penalty on a guy
that
is
30 yards behind the play and on the opposite side of the field. There's no possibility that, if you want to call it holding or defensive pass interference, if it is interference, legitimate interference, the ball has to be coming his direction for it to be an interference. If the ball's launched 50 yards downfield and this guy's on a 7-yard out and he gets pushed or shoved a little bit, how do you call that defensive pass interference? Especially after the ball's already in the air. I understand if the quarterback's looking around and running his reads and, you know, that happens, then it's a different story. But if the ball's already in the air and then you call a pass interference on a guy that I don't understand how that happens. Why it's even a thing. It didn't affect the play in any way. It didn't affect the outcome of the game. But some of the calls that they make, you know, a strip sack by Chris Jones, do affect the outcome of the game sometimes. And for other teams, it would have really affected the outcome of that game. It did affect the differential. Now I don't know if this is, I've heard a lot of people, not fans, but other people talk in the betting world because we talk to a lot of those people, and they say, well, a lot of times this happens simply because of the point spread. A lot of times when you see teams, get soft if they've got a fairly decent lead and they end up winning by 10, if they're, the game's a 10.5 point spread and they win by 10, then it's for the bookies. It's for the, the MGMs of the world, all this stuff. If that's the case, then honestly, this game's not going to go very far. You're going to have a bunch of broke ass people out there that just mortgage their or bet their mortgage away, their mortgage payment away, and their car payments away, to either most likely lose. So
Says the guy in Vegas.
Yeah, which I never bet. Strangely enough, I don't bet on sports. I've made 2 bets in my entire life on sports. 2. And both of them are on the Chiefs. One was in 2017. I had this crazy feeling that we were going to go to the Super Bowl. And I put a $500 bet down because it was 500 to 1 at the time. So I put a $500 bet down that we would not win the Super Bowl, but go to the Super Bowl. And of course, I lost $500, but that was during the Alex Smith era, that was the only time that I would have put that bet down. The only time, because he knew that he had somebody behind him. He knew that this was inevitably going to be his last year with Kansas City. And he had the best game of his career, or best season of his career. Let me just put it that way. I knew that was coming. So I thought, okay, why not put the bet down? I blow crap back then. So why not try it and see what happens? If we get to the Super Bowl, hey, I just won a lot of money. Guys bet on a lot worse things than betting on the Chiefs in 2017, $500. I mean, guys out here put $1 million. There was a guy that put money down, weirdly enough, I think it was $1 million on a player that would have to leave the field to go take a shit. Weirdly enough, it was during the game with the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson won. I don't know what I can't remember how much money he won, but it was an ass is a strange way. I mean, no pun intended, but it was an ignorant amount of money because Lamar Jackson had to leave the field. Now I'm not going to say it because that's rude. I would say something about a Chiefs player maybe having to do that here and there, but that's an illness that will never go away. I think we know who we're all talking about, but at least you and I do. But it's crazy the amount of bets that you can make and the way you can make them. They have come up with some very strategic bets for people to lose their money. And apparently $1 million made no difference to that guy. But I guess it would be like us putting down $100, or something of that nature. But he won because Lamar Jackson was prairie dogging on the field. He had to go, man. And when he went, he went. But I'm going to invite Justin in really quick while we're talking here. Yeah, it's pretty insane to think that that those bets are out there. Okay, that's weird. It says I've already invited him, but he's not in here. So let me copy this link really quick.
This is still a work in progress, folks.
It is. This is something new to us, and we're trying to figure it out. We're getting there. I'm going to disappear for a minute, but I'll be right back. I don't know if you guys can still see me, but if you can, great.
I can hold the fort down.
I didn't have
Let's
him in
just
the
take a
waiting
trip around the NFL. I want to talk about the New York Jets because what a strange football team that is. And that win against the Packers yesterday, it was crazy because they had a blocked punt return for a touchdown. Their quarterback didn't throw I don't think he even threw a touchdown, if I remember correctly.
I think he finally did, but it was late. If I'm not mistaken, I think he did finally throw one, but it was later in the game. But go ahead, finish what you're saying.
But for a team to come in Lambeau, where Aaron Rodgers in his career has dominated teams, to come in and play as well as they did, full, offense, defense, special teams football is really impressive. And I think
agree.
the Jets are a team that we need to take them seriously. He did not throw a touchdown. So he had 110 yards and no touchdown, and they won 27-10.
Wow.
And it's not like that game. You can't blame that on like weather. If that game happened December 13th, you could be like, oh, it's Lambeau. It was probably minus 40 out there, and there was a blizzard. No, the weather was fine. So for that to happen is just crazy. To me, that game is more on how the Jets played than how the Packers played. But
yeah,
they did have that Breece Hall, something like that. Their running back, man.
Yeah.
NFL red zone. That's an angry runner right there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we got Justin jumping in. All right. Justin, what's up, my friend?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good. We are talking about everything, a little bit of everything, I guess, right now. Quentin, finish what you were saying real quick about that game.
It's just a crazy game. We were just talking about the Jets and how the Jets might be a team that we might have to start taking seriously in the AFC. As crazy as it sounds, the old butt fumble team.
Yep. I mean, I can definitely.
It's going to be a team.
They've got an excellent draft class. Honestly, leading the way. And they've got some young guys taking control. Good job.
Yeah, I agree. Strangely enough, I was I think it was you and I, Justin, on one of the shows, and I said, this might be a team that the Bills have to worry about. And right now, looking at their division, they still have to play the Jets twice. They don't have an easy schedule coming up, no matter how you look at it.
They have to play the Jets twice. They still have to face the Patriots twice. They have one more game against Miami. They have to go. I think they have to go to Cincinnati. So they've got They still have a tough schedule coming up. And I can't how well or poorly the Patriots are playing. The Bills are not sweeping the Patriots, and the way it's looking right now, the Bills are not going to sweep the Jets. So there's 2 losses right there.
I agree. I think the Jets might be the team that really throws in the Bills' seeding position. I really do. I think they're going to be the one. Look, we are kind of, we had at one point we were ranked second, depending on the matrix you looked at, but we were between second hardest schedule in the league to the 4th hardest schedule in the league. Most of them were right around the second hardest. Our first 8 games are the hardest games for us. And then it just gets easier. Now, with that being said, we're playing NFC West teams, and we usually dominate the NFC West. Looking at how San Francisco's been playing, I'm not really too concerned with them.
Their defense is injured. Their defensive line is so injured right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking at their injury this past week, and they've just been flooded with injuries. It's been pretty tough for them. I think that'll help a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. It's
Plus, it doesn't seem like Jimmy Garoppolo is playing as well as he has in the past. I mean, he threw a couple of interceptions yesterday. So, they were expecting at least Jimmy Garoppolo to come out and play better than what they are getting out of Trey Lance, but it doesn't seem that way. And as much as that team seems to trust him, he continues to make mistakes that keep other teams in the game.
Yeah. So another person that's frustrated besides Aaron Rodgers from yesterday is a Tom Brady. That man is sideways with himself right now. He's sideways with the team. You know, looking at what he's going through from a personal standpoint, and then to think that he did all of this to win a Super Bowl. And they're playing horrid. Yesterday, there's so many videos of him just laying into his offensive line, laying into his wide receivers. Rodgers got hammered yesterday pretty hard. He got hit really hard, actually. Probably one of the hardest hits I've seen him take in a long time. Of course, there was no call on roughing the passer, but he got hammered. So you got two teams that are, with perennial quarterback that are struggling immensely. So I think the NFC is up for grabs right now. And I think you're going to see Seattle and the Eagles as two of the teams that come out on top of that division. That's just my opinion right now. I mean, the Rams, what happened to them? They fell apart. I don't know. It's just strange to look at that. I'm looking at all the highlights from the games yesterday. The Patriots smoked the Browns. I mean, smoked them yesterday. I think it was 38-15. But going back to what we were talking about with the AFC side, I don't really see, other than in the Patriots division, it was the AFC North or East, AFC East.
East.
Yeah, I don't see a clear-cut winner as far as how that division is going to come out, right? Simply because of how the Jets have played, like Quentin brought up. How no matter what, New England again, it's really hard to sweep the Bills. You got Miami that has come out and played really strong. I don't know what to think about my brain's slipping. Baltimore at this point. They're kind of up and down, but it's just a very strange thing. Teams that we thought that were going to be so dominant this year in the AFC have not proven to be. So we've held up to our end of the bargain. No matter how people want to see us as how yesterday went, we are a team in progress. We've rebuilt on this year alone. We rebuilt a lot, especially the playmaker part of the ball on both sides. We've got 3 rookies in the secondary. When you really look at our defense, you have Chris Jones, Frank Clark. When I say starters, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and Snead. That's who's been with us longer than this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Turk is out for the season. So I think our defense is holding its own. Right now, I think they're ranked 17th overall. And points allowed is not bad.
At the beginning of the year, our defense would jump for joy.
Yeah.
Yep. And with as productive as an offense that we have, our offense is so good that if we can even get a mediocre defense going, then that'll help tremendously because that's all we really need.
Yeah. For years that, Mahomes has played with a lot worse defenses than we've got this year. Think about who he's had in the past. Honestly. 31st ranked defense, 28th ranked defense, 29th ranked defense, 27th ranked defense. Yeah, they've had their spurts during the season where they picked up, I think it was last year, the year before. It was last year. They were 6th in points allowed and then that went away. So,
and this defense has super high upside too. I think this defense could honestly, I can think they could in the season top 10. They got a really high ceiling as everything goes forward too.
I agree. They're just going to get better.
I think this is the best defense that Patrick Mahomes has had.
It is, without fail.
I know it's only
We're going into week 7, but even if they keep on this, trajectory, and we have to consider the players that were missing yesterday. What, top three corners?
Yeah.
And you're missing your linebacker, who I think Willie Gay from being in that game. The Chiefs defense would have benefited from that because Willie Gay in the past quarterback spy on Josh Allen, sort of that way as that Mildred linebacker played on Mahomes. That was the Willie Gay position for the Bills. That's sort of not having him, I think, in hindsight, really means more in that game. And I thought of it going into it.
I actually agree. I think I'm not taking anything away from Harris because he's done a really good, and that's what I love about our team right now is we've got depth that can fill in and help and keep us in contention. But Willie Gay and Nick Bolton play very well together. They mesh very well together. They know each other's tendencies, and no matter he's faster, he's just faster, and he's a really good spy. He's got extremely high IQ. He reads plays very well. He reads offenses very well. And, you know, I'm still upset with the whole situation of his suspension. I mean, it's pretty sad that he's got that lengthy of a suspension for beating up a Kenmore. But, I mean, you know, it's just coming down to the point now to where, I mean, you got a guy that's got now another woman that's come out against him. So that makes 26, I believe. And if I'm not mistaken, the Texans paid off a total. It actually totals 30 women. Now 31. So he got 11 games. It was originally 8. And Willie Gay gets 6 games for not only breaking a Kenmore, but his own phone. There was no physical. There was no charges brought against him. So I don't know how this woman came out of nowhere to do this.
Yeah.
It was one of those things.
That's the one thing that has been super consistent about.
Because
what's that?
In the CBA, because technically the Kansas City police reported it as a domestic. And so according to the CBA, sort of a letter to the law type deal, that's the way it went down. It's sort of like when a guy uses a guy gambles on a game, it's a year no matter what. You could put $1 down or $100,000 down, $1 million down. It doesn't matter. You gambled, so that's the punishment. Or PEDs, when a guy uses performance enhancing drugs, whether they actually are or aren't, they're on the list, so you get that many games no matter what you did. So that's the reasoning behind it, is that it was just to the letter of the law. It got listed as a domestic violence issue, and so that's why the NFL came and did that. My biggest problem with it was that the NFL waited so long to give that suspension. To me, that situation here in Kansas City occurred in February, and they waited to give until 2 games into the season. I feel like that you knew about it going into the off season, even through training camp and stuff. So to wait until the season started doesn't make much sense to me. So that was my issue with it, is that it came in season and not starting from the beginning of the year.
And that's not something you do. Look, if you're going to suspend somebody for something, you either suspend them before the season or after the season. You don't do it going into week 3 of the season. That's just ignorance. But also remember that what I think I take away from this, and I think Justin and I brought this up on a show, is that woman that Goodell hired to specifically deal with DV situations here during that time period. So she went and threw down a suspension on someone that she had no prior knowledge of and wasn't even involved in the situation or with the NFL at that time. So I don't know if that's such a great thing to have happen. I understand the whole DV thing. I get it. Nobody, and I don't condone anything that these guys or anybody does for that matter when it comes to domestic violence, but you have to look at it case by case. You can't just go out there and say, well, you know what? Guy beat up a Kenmore. He was in a girl's house. It's DV. The Kenmore can't go and testify. So, and if she's not going to, she actually said.
Yeah, it seemed like. Yep, seemed like quite the reach there. I mean, kind of digging up an old case and just almost like to prove a point. And I just disagree with it fully.
Yeah, it's exactly what it seemed like. It was just like it's like he was the guinea pig for this woman, and I didn't like the way it came down. There was no other cases that she was able to, at the time, I guess, able to impose her will, if you want to put it that way. So she went to him. I just don't think it's right. But if I'm not mistaken, he comes back after the bye week, correct?
Yeah, he can come back this coming up week. That was his last game.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so I wonder.
So should be in the facility tomorrow, and he should be good to go. In terms of, and speaking of guys that can come back in the facility, today in his press conference, Andy Reid talked about and how he's going to have a full week of practice. He'll be good to go. He was practicing all of last week coming up to the Bills game, but Andy Reid said he just wasn't feeling. Hamstring hadn't come back fully yet, but he was last week. He'll practice all of this week, and if that hamstring's feeling good enough, we will have Trent be back against the 49ers.
I love that because originally I assumed that they were going to keep him out one more week. Not assumed. I was kind of told that he probably wouldn't come back until after the bye week. So, against San Francisco, that's great. I mean, he's a phenomenal player, so we need him. It is what it is. I guess my question with the Chiefs right now is why Danny Shelton is not on the field. Why is he not on the 53?
I mean, if we keep talking about it, maybe we could speak it into existence.
That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky enough that it'll get to the right. I brought it up to the guys I deal with, and I said, "What the heck?" Won't give me a straight answer. I did hear, and I don't know the validity of this, but I mean, I assume it to be true. I did hear that his agent kind of was trying to force the Chiefs' hand and saying, "Hey, if you're not going to play me, then trade me to another team." I don't know why they wouldn't put. I understand he was injured at the beginning of the season, because they thought it was going to be a 1 or 2 game thing, and they didn't want him out for 4 weeks. But now here we are going into week 7. He's still on the practice squad. It's a little concerning. So I would love to see. I mean,
we were talking about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, him and Chris Jones together would be a terror. A terror. The guy takes up 2 position spots.
Yep. Exactly. We were talking about that earlier. Like his size alone is just enough to get him on the field, I think, because I mean you have to put 2 guys on him, or else he's going to bull rush the first guy and get right there. So, and then that'll opportunities for everyone else. So it could.
Exactly. I mean, you have to give. You can't put guys like him on a practice squad and not give him any opportunities. You just can't. Now, that Joe Cullen has the decision on that. And if he wants him on, he would have probably already had him on the field. But I think it's time that we have to make a decision because we're getting run on. And I don't like the fact that a Singletary, which is one of the lowest ranked running backs in the league, I think his average is like 3 yards a carry or less, is just ran all over us. It's annoying to me. And now we lose Turk. And we don't really do anything about it. Now, not going to. He's still got a little bit of time left before the trade deadline if he wants to trade for somebody. Maybe that's what issue with, I've asked if there was an issue with Shelton, if he was in the doghouse for some reason, if there was something going on. Everybody has said no. So I don't know what it is. I really don't. I would love to see him out there, though. I mean, and another person, too, is Carlos Dunlap. He needs to play more. Period. Every time he's on the field, he makes plays immediately. He is an impact player immediately when he steps on that field. He needs more play time.
Yeah, he's a guy with just serious experience, and I mean he's a veteran now, so he really just knows how to get in there, a change. So he could be a big force for our defense.
There is some news that came to the NFL that you won't like, JP. I don't know if you heard or not, but Josh Gordon got cut from the Titans practice squad.
Yeah, it makes
that
me
happened
sick.
this morning.
I really like Josh. I feel bad for him because, honestly, did he have his issues? Maybe so. Were they? That's another great example of someone that should have never been suspended for a solid year. An indefinite suspension for smoking weed and taking GNC supplements. I don't get it. The NFL has to get consistent all the way around. Across the board, they have to be consistent. They cannot allow this to continue. And this poor man that was a beast in the NFL has struggled. And not only did the suspension, because he wasn't mentally, having distress or anything prior to those suspensions, it happened after the fact. And I think he is, I just wish I really do. And maybe it's just past his time. It's just, I know he kept in phenomenal condition, and I told everybody that. In fact, I don't know if that was you or just somebody was on the show. Why? And I said, wait till you see him. And even Harold Kuntz from Fox 4, he had called me and he said, what do you think of this Josh Gordon thing? And I said, when you see him, you'll understand why. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, the guy's shredded. He looks like a 2-year-old bodybuilder. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah. I said, he's been trained to stay in shape. He's been trained in colleges and high schools. He's been doing what he can do to stay in football shape. Well, Harold got his, it was his turn up to go up to St. Joe, and he saw him, and he actually put it out. He goes, my God. He texted me. He goes, man, you are not wrong. He goes, that dude looks like Adonis. I mean, he is shredded. And I said, I know. I said, he is in great physical condition. I just don't know what happened to his hands. He just can't. He can't hold on to the ball. He wasn't a guy that missed a pass. He fought for everything. I don't know if all of this just kind of hurt his spirit, put him in I know it really mentally messed with him afterwards. I don't know, man. I mean, it's strange. But I wish him all the luck in whatever he does, and I hope he gets picked up by somebody else. There's got to be somebody out there that needs a veteran wide receiver. So, we picked up Chris Conley, and who else was it? It's on the practice squad, 2 old players that we brought back. Conley and one other, and I can't remember his name right now, but
Marcus Kemp.
I would like to see Marcus Kemp. I would Conley come back up to the 53. He did a really good job with Mahomes. Great example. That end zone catch when Mahomes was running for his life. He stepped off the, he put himself in position. So, and he made some great plays with Mahomes. And I think he's matured a lot over the last couple of years. So we might see him move up to the 53 if, like you look at MVS from yesterday. I think he was targeted 7 times with 0 receptions.
Yeah, I'm so confused about MVS because the guy, he was in a really productive offense with the Green Bay Packers, and he wasn't anything great in terms of his production or anything, but he would get a couple catches and he would break them out, and they were chunk plays, right? And that's something that every offense could use. They could use a guy that can just go out and get chunk plays. And he hasn't been able to do that here. And it doesn't make any sense to me why. As the quarterback, he has the offense, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get the separation that he needs in order to get those chunk plays.
Yeah. I know it's difficult to learn style, and I know it's difficult to learn Andy Reid's playbook. But he played with a quarterback that was similar to Mahomes in some ways. There's nobody out there like him, but as far as moving out of the pocket and doing things, Rodgers does all that. So I understand it's pretty hard to catch a 62-mile-an-hour 10-yard slider with a football. which Mahomes. And actually, you said, I think it was you yesterday, said you're going to love. No, who was it? Somebody, it may have been during the live stream yesterday. Somebody said, "Oh, yep, Mahomes just threw a curveball," and I said, "Really?" And I was a little bit behind, and he did. He threw a curveball. That ball curved, and I was just like, "Wow!" I mean, I just think he's a friggin' robot. But I understand the fact that it's a little more difficult to grasp those two things. It's hard to learn to play with a guy like Mahomes because you don't know if you don't know his tendencies, and when he gets sorry, I was watching the game there.
Dude, there are
13-10
so many
Broncos
penalties
right
in
now.
this Monday Night Football game.
My
There's
God,
12
I mean, it might be
penalties
a
for
record.
almost 200 yards.
By the end of the game.
No, the Raiders aren't playing.
Anyway, other players like Sky Moore, playtime as well, has stepped up, and when he gets on the field, he's able to make those crazy catches that Mahomes throws. He knows how to get in position. Mahomes has different eye movement. He has different hand gestures. He does certain things without showing the defense what he's doing. Has to have known. Kelsey knows it. Tyreek knew it. Even Hardman knew it. I mean, not Hardman, but Hardman does know it. But D-Rob, I mean, he knew when Mahomes was struggling. Chris Conley knew when Mahomes needed somebody open. Mahomes is great at buying time. You know, he's a very elusive quarterback. It's frustrating when you see a guy like MVS that comes off a game like last week where he was pretty productive, and then this week he is targeted 7 times and has 0 reception. It's very frustrating. And then I see Jody Fortson that doesn't get targeted as much and should be in the game more. So I don't know, man. It's confusing.
He only gets targeted when they're on the 1 yard line, so he can end up with
Yeah.
his perfect stat line.
Yeah. I mean, and looking at last year, he was 5 for 5, ripping balls out of people's hands before he got injured. He started off like a crazy beast, and then it's like, okay, well, you know, we'll put you in for 28% of the snaps, or you know, whatever. That's just not. Maybe, you know, and honestly, the way Andy Reid's mind works, who knows if that's not something that he's saving for the last, given the fact that he knows his schedule is going to get easier, and these guys that he has on the field are probably going to get better. And he does have now some depth in the wide receiver area. So who knows? Maybe that's what his thought process is. You know, he always plays a little bit of vanilla offense anyway during the regular season, especially the first part of the season. And if it's a game we absolutely have to win, he'll pull out some crazy plays. Like yesterday, it wasn't anything crazy. The only thing I noticed was in the second half, they ran CEH when they shouldn't have been, because Pacheco was obviously doing better. In fact, I tweeted out that was a hell of an angry run, and Kyle Brandt loved it. You know, I mean, because it was an angry run. Pacheco runs pissed. He runs like he just stole something. And it's amazing to me how well his force is amazing. He makes the ground shake. The guy he puts indentions in the ground when he runs. So I don't know. I'm not a coach. Put players in positions to win. They need to put the players in positions for the team to win. And when one isn't working, let's try something else. I understand sticking to your game plan, but you also have to realize that it's not going to hurt anything by pulling out a CEH and dropping in Pacheco again if that's who's productive during that game. If he's the one that's able to do it.
And yeah, so close to it. And he's really capable of making plays out of nothing. So I think as his play increases throughout the season, I think he'll become a real star.
Yeah, he's just going to get better and better as it goes.
JP, and you said that you're not a head coach. That may be true. You know, I am a fan and a sports writer which means I'm basically a coach. So I think that I would love to see Pacheco in there more often because he is such an angry runner. And we see, I think Clyde's biggest issue right now is that he isn't able to hit those holes as fast as he should. And especially with the struggles of this offensive line, which I find myself writing about almost every week at this struggle. And so when you have a running back like Clyde who doesn't seem to really hit those holes as fast as he should, instead we have a guy that really just seems to hesitate, which is fine if you have the acceleration to beat that. So like a Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was a very slow to hit the whole guy. He really would wait to the last second in order to get his yards. And that worked for him because he had that acceleration to break it big. Clyde doesn't have that. Pacheco, on the other hand, he's able to hit those holes quickly enough and break it out. And he's strong enough to where when those holes collapse, he can fall forward and still get you 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah. And what else too I've noticed is that if you're watching Clyde, it's like if they call a play and he runs up the middle even if the hole does collapse. If he sees it collapsing prior to him getting even close to the line, he just continues on with that play. He doesn't have any improv and he doesn't I guess he doesn't think outside the box. Maybe that's the word I'm trying to use. But he doesn't change up his running style. He just goes with whatever the play is. You can't do that. Not in this game. If you want to prove yourself and you want to be that perennial runner, then you have to think outside the box. If you see that hole collapsing, reverse, go the other direction, and make something out of nothing. Pacheco's very good at it. McKinnon's very good at it. Kareem was great at it, still is. I don't know why Clyde has this. It's almost like he was trained by a military guy. And it's like, you do what I say, period, no matter what. I don't give a shit. If the hole collapses, you run into the hole. You run face first into those guys. Doesn't matter. You can't do that. You have to improv. You have to make something out of nothing. Tyreek did it. Elvin Harmon does it when he's in the backfield. So I don't know why Clyde does that, and there's times that he looks like he's running in slow motion. He gets hit, he falls down. Then you see him at times where he is carrying 4 guys with him. When it's almost like he's trying to prove something at certain times. It's like, well, I just don't feel like playing today. I just don't have the.
It's like he's a robot almost. I think he'd be a great fit for the Patriots in the way that they just kind of everything's repetitive and Andy Reid's off. It's just you got to go just make plays happen. So he's a good player, but he's not capable of playmaking, I guess.
Well, I think, and maybe Quentin, I'll ask you. A lot of people players, let me put it this way, go against the grain depending on who calls the play. Andy, and I know this for 100% fact, he will flat out say if Mahomes is on the field, he makes a call and they go with that call. He has 100% of those rights to audible at the line of scrimmage. That's in his contract. Now, can he change plays in the huddle? No. Supposedly he can't. But I see it on the other side when the enemy is calling plays. It's like it's almost a fear factor with Clyde that, man, I got to make sure I do it exactly how he says it because I don't want to have that problem. I don't know if that's the case or not. I've heard that a couple of times about other players. Could be that problem with him. I know Shady McCoy absolutely hates Eric Bieniemy with a passion. And there's not a game goes by that we play that he doesn't have something to say about Bieniemy and the play calls that he makes. And look, people can say what they want about McCoy. I don't think he would be doing that if it wasn't true. And I think if he was offered something, which he was, to come back, he would have come back if, like he said, if BNB was gone. So there is some validity to a lot of the things that are going on that side of it. And honestly, I mean, look, if it wasn't for what went on last year and the fact that he threatened, I'm just going to say it, he basically said, I'm going to get into that Brian Flores lawsuit, he wouldn't be here. It's that simple, he wouldn't be here. I mean, honest to God, dude, the guy got interviewed by Nebraska and got turned down. Now he's got college teams turning him down. And it has absolutely zero to do with race. It's all about him. People can say what they want, but that's what it's about. It's been, you don't get 23 interviews and don't get one job offer if you're doing something, if you're good at what you do. And I know I seem to, maybe I'm bashing the enemy at this point, but maybe I am a little bit to a degree. I think, during that first couple of years, he was new at that position, and he felt like, he didn't have that egotistical mindset and the anger that he has right now. But as his head swelled and as his name got brought up in the media so many times about how he should be a head coach, and then he didn't get those positions, I'm wondering if that didn't play a factor into similar to what happened last year in training camp, where he lost his mind and was cussing people out the first day and sending them off the field. To manager camp this offseason. I mean, the guy goes to manager camp to learn on talk to people. He played the role fairly well, in my opinion, for, during training camp, during preseason, during week 1, week 2, I started noticing it. Week 3, there was an argument between him and Mahomes. So and then week 4, Andy called every play. Every play was out of Andy's mouth. So there's a disconnect there. And then you've got older guys that haven't played with the enemy as an offensive coordinator, like Jamal Charles, even Jeff Allen, snapped and said, "You guys don't even know the enemy." Maybe not, but there's some type of a connection or disconnect there, or this still wouldn't be going on. It's that simple.
Yeah, I think there's definitely got to be some kind of underlying issue there, because just saying you're the offensive coordinator for one of the best for the last 5 years should get you a job, at least at a D1 college. So the fact that he hasn't hired yet, I think definitely says that there's something under the top layer there that needs to be discovered.
I agree. And you can't bring up what he did 30 years ago. Did he have issues 30 years ago? Yeah, he did. But that has nothing to do with now. Since then, as far as any legal issues are concerned. So this is a Bieniemy issue, not any other problem besides a Bieniemy issue. And he's going to have to figure that out. I did hear he has supposedly some ties to Colorado State. And that may be where he goes next year. If he doesn't get an NFL position, that may be where he goes. If they still want him. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens.
Now I'm going to play a little devil advocate here, because I'm just going to say we don't personally, I don't know what his job is. Obviously, I know he's the offensive coordinator, but in terms of what he does, it's hard for me to put blame on him when things go wrong. I think there is some sort of a hypocrisy in part of the Chiefs fandom, because when things go right, we credit Andy Reid, and when things go wrong, we talk about the bad things that Eric Bieniemy did. And so I think there's sort of that overlay there. I think he's just a really good scapegoat for when things go bad.
Could be.
I mean, nobody's perfect, right? We know Andy Reid has messed up play calls, and we definitely know that Eric Bieniemy has messed up play calls. So I don't want this to just seem like we're just talking bad about Eric Bieniemy, because
Correct.
I'm not even sure what his job is at this point.
I agree with you. That way I just know from the consistency of the issues that we've had really going
right there.
about week 8 to 10, starting then. it progressively got worse. And when you've got your quarterback that doesn't argue with anyone, that has 3 or 4 arguments on the field with him, a lot of arguments off the field. You got a tight end that is ready to kill him at one point or another. Locker room issues, training camp issues. I think some of Andy's problem, is the fact that he sees the issues, yet he is so loyal to people and wants them to succeed so bad that he almost blanks it out to a degree. And if things aren't meshing, whether it's the enemy's fault or whether it's whatever the case may be, it's really time to move forward. And it's similar to like what, teams have said when they interviewed the enemy, they didn't believe it was him. And in fact, one team said, look, if it's not a package deal with Andy and Mahomes, sorry. That
Would be a better head coach than Nate Hackett.
Oh, I mean, good God. I mean, my daughter would be a better head coach than him. But it is what it is.
I don't think. I about how Bieniemy catches the downside of things and doesn't really get praised for the goodness. But I think when you're just it's easy to blame Bieniemy because if Andy Reid could go coach for practically any team in the league, and whereas Bieniemy can't find they know more than us just because we can see the top layer of it, whereas they kind of hear more of the inside scoop. So I think it kind of just ties in something under there hiding on what is going on with
it. From internal people that tell us different, similar to what we're saying, but you look at like a Brian Flores that turned Miami around, and 2 wins in a row, which they hadn't had. He gets fired for obvious reasons that was obvious. Okay.
He refused to tank.
People can say what they want, but Stephen Ross is a crappy owner. It's a shit organization when it comes to that. So then you look at like.
And remember when you said the stream
was kid friendly?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, kid friendly. Yeah, we're kid friendly. We're not the Pat McAfees, but we're getting there. You look at like Mike Tomlin that has done so well during his career as a head coach. Numerous other head coaches that have done very well. Look, no matter they weren't OCs for 4 or 5 straight years with a Super Bowl winning team, but still didn't get a job. Some of them were OCs for bad teams that got jobs. So it's not I don't think it's anything other than the fact that he just has his own issues and his own ways of doing things, and it may not be the way other people like it. I do hear that he has a really horrid interviewing style. I've heard that numerous times. I don't know, man. All I know is that we have to make a change. This year has to be a change because Nagy, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I think it was week 3. What week was it that Bieniemy and Mahomes got into it? Was that week 3?
That was the Colts
game.
Yeah. So if you did after halftime, you saw Nagy and Mahomes sitting next to each other, similar to how Andy was actually on the opposite side on the same bench during a lot of those conversations for the majority of the second half. And it's almost like he was, from what I understand, he was brought in as the buffer. His title is indicative of what his job is, his role is within that team. But it's really hard to not. When you got Andy that says, "Okay, I will let if Mahomes in the middle of a play, I'm going to let him do that. If he sees something with the defense, I'm going to let him do that. If he wants to go deep, I don't care. I encourage him to do that." But on the opposite, Andy was pretty. The first time I had ever seen Andy say something that was, I can't say underhanded, but it was like a backhanded way of saying, "Yeah, I need to call these plays better," or "I need to call the plays. I need to call them better." He basically said, "I need to call the plays." And when he said that and the way he said it, it was almost like, okay, I really need to take over the play calling on a permanent basis. Now, exactly what he meant. It just seemed that way to me. I just feel like I think Bieniemy's time has kind of ran out with Kansas City, and it's time to have somebody come in that, and it's obvious going to be Nagy. He's a great, and people could say what they want about him being a head coach. He didn't have a great stint, but also he didn't have a great owner either. That didn't allow him to do anything that he wanted to do. So he's a great offensive coordinator. He's great with the players. And there's many other guys out there that are great with players. I just don't think Bieniemy has the rapport with the players that other people do. This is not 1988. It's not 1998. It's not even 2008. You have to listen to what the players are saying. They're the ones in the trenches. They're the ones that are out there. And if you, like we had said on the show before, and other people have said this actually, even Nick Wright had mentioned this one time after we said it actually. How many offensive coordinators out there that are running backs make it in the league as an offensive coordinator? You don't see many of them. Guys that really never played the game other than college, you'll see guys that were brought to be trained as a head coach, but you see a lot of quarterbacks, even wide receivers, but you don't see a whole lot of running backs because they're very biased to the run. There's just so many different things that, could change.
Yeah.
Maybe,
And
at the beginning of the season, they were all having fun.
Yep. Talking about Clyde kind of being more of a robot style player, but I think that also kind of loops back to Bieniemy. I think he kind of injects that robot style into this off wanted, but he kind of just wants this prototypical, just old fashioned style.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I feel like. I feel like he wants it his way, and he doesn't want to deviate from that, even though it's going to be beneficial for the team. He gets frustrated if something gets changed or gets changed that he calls out. That's been very obvious, and it's been a public. It's not like I'm saying anything. It's not public. Everybody knows it. So I don't know. I guarantee he's not coming back next year.
So we talked about the trade deadline, but kind of moving forward, is there any specific people you guys would like Chiefs make a push for before the deadline, or at least?
I think Quentin.
Well, no matter what, Chiefs
Offensive line isn't changing.
So you're not going to find anybody out there.
That's better than what we have.
So that's a lock.
Even Wiley?
You can get
a player, the defensive lineman from the Panthers, but it's one of those. He's so young. You're not gonna. Let's be real. Brett Veach.
Talking about Burns?
Sort of joked. Yeah. They've sort of joked not using a first round pick, not trading it away because the Chiefs have the draft. The draft is in Kansas City this coming up. And that was sort of joked about, but I think it was like a joke, but it was I don't think the Chiefs are trading their first. They're going to want to use that here in Kansas City. So any player that's of a first, Chiefs are not adding this offseason because I round pick to be used as a draft pick in Kansas City and not player. So unless there's somebody out
What do
there
you
that's
think?
on a serious fire sale that is really going to get a
See this team really adding.
any
I do have
What do you think?
that I kind of have an eye out for, and talked about it much, but I think Isaiah Wynn, the New England. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, all right. Isaiah Wynn, the tackle out of New England, he's set to hit free agency this spring, and so there's a pretty low asking price there for him. And I think that, he might be a suitable person to at least put some competition in there. He's shown some promise. He's got some years under his belt, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I don't know if Beach is going to make any moves.
So watching
Sunday
now.
football
Now
game.
Burns isn't on
Fourth
the trade
quarter
block.
just-
I don't know if that's true or not.
Fourth quarter just started not that long ago, and I just want to make a comment about.
Like, he's throwing high.
And I don't know if that has to do with his shoulder, but he's been throwing high all
Like,
and has continued tonight. We're at a tie game right now, but I feel like even though Russell Wilson
horrible.
he's throwing the ball, there's another high pass to
I don't know.
there's something wrong with Russell Wilson.
There is. I mean, a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago they said he had a shoulder injury.
Yeah,
But
he
what was
has a
his
shoulder
excuse prior to
injury, and he got like treatment on it or whatever. But he's been moving around. As I'm watching this game, I've noticed they're putting him out in more
Style plays where he's moving
out of
out.
the pocket, which is good. But he's still scrimmage. His passes continue to be high.
Is directly
Related to the shoulder injury or not, but
miss
low.
Yeah, I agree. Now there you go. I mean, now you see him run with the ball, so was that him? Wasn't that Wilson? Yeah, it was him. You don't see him this ball as much. So
Which is part of his strength. Because what Russ is that by being that running quarterback, you force the defense to, which means you had to move somebody down closer to the box, and it opened up one-on-one options down the field. And that hasn't
Yes.
been, teams don't have, he just isn't doing it for whatever reason. And that was a good, it was what, an 8? But
Yeah, I think he's
he
a
just
his
did it
whole
again.
yep. His strength. He was a decent passer and a decent, but then the defenses didn't know what to predict there. But I think now that it's part of its age probably that he's starting to kind of die down in the rush. It kind of just makes him a predictable passer. So that's my opinion anyway.
The crazy part is he's really old though. I mean, he's 33. He still seems like he's got a lot of speed. I don't know. Maybe he took so many hits in Seattle that's what's doing him in. I don't know. I don't know if that's the issue. I don't know if I don't know what it is. He took a ton of hits in Seattle. So
He did.
fathom why. I guess again, there's no love lost between him and Pete Carroll. Maybe
That
we're
is-
seeing.
His face.
when they beat him in Seattle.
Oh man, and they didn't even talk. Russell Wilson got hugs from everybody on that team, but they did not talk at all. They didn't even look in each other's direction. So that tells you a lot.
Yep. And we're
Wilson's
talking about his.
right now more than the running backs are.
I was just about to say that we were talking about his not doing as much anymore, and here he is going from.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Fair enough. But I'll tell you boys what, I need 3 points from Mike Williams in fantasy in my game, man. It's 1.8, so it's not very promising.
Well, the Broncos score in this, have to come out throwing the ball.
We can hope.
I just think that Russell Wilson is quarterback and he gets traded to a new team. So
Actually,
if it's partially because of the new offensive system, a veteran quarterback can come in and adjust quickly. They're not the best in the league, but crew. Ooh. Oh, are they going to call that an incomplete pass? Jerry Jeudy and company are quality receivers, and when he's missing high, I would love to just see his footwork. I guess
footwork. It's hard
that
though.
when you have massive 300-pound men.
Yeah, I agree. We had some people on Twitter that wanted us to share the link.
No hate to Russ Wilson because he has been a good quarterback throughout. If you look at all of his best seasons, he's been surrounded by a great defense, a great receiving corps, and while the Broncos, I don't think they're near as strong, especially those older Seattle Seahawks teams. So, I don't know.
No, you're absolutely correct, because that's when Vic Fangio left. That's what I said was going to be a detriment to the Broncos. Broncos had this great defense, and it's because Vic Fangio was coordinator, and that's how he impacted the team the most, was controlling that.
Lose that
and replace it with a guy that doesn't control the defense.
And there are no
they don't have a Von Miller anymore. They don't have the playmakers. They've got some. Pat Surtain is looking really, really good, but they don't have. And when you take away the brain and the players that were on those quality, it's not going to be as good. And I think people were assuming in the offseason that look at this top defense, and now they've got an offensive head coach. I think they just forgot or dismissed the fact that this defense wasn't going to be the same.
Yeah.
It seems like, in a way, amidst all the trouble they've.
Well, we talked about this back in December on our show that they were going to go up for sale, and that it hadn't been announced yet. And everybody said we were crazy. Well, we found out that they were going up for sale. And what we basically told everyone is that they were going to be, the sale was probably going to be final by March 31st. It took a little bit longer. We we really said the Waltons were going to buy that team. And if anybody tried to outbid them, they were going to take it. So they inevitably bought that team. Now, if you really look at the business side of it, to maximize your profits, you bring in a name like a Russell Wilson. You bring in a high power name that is going to help you get the most out of your team. The most profitability is, players. They made moves to switch up coaching, which I don't know. It's obvious that wasn't great moves, but bringing in a Russell Wilson did help their stock. So at the time, what it's doing to them right now, I have no clue. But it just seems like they're not. Now you just seen an interception, it looks like, from Denver's defense. Unless I can't really tell what it looks like. Let me see. Yeah, interception.
It was like a tip pass, but now there's a scrum for a fumble.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah, but they got it back. Because apparently he didn't know how to hold on to that ball very well.
That's why he's on defense.
Player that swats it out of your hand. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, it makes me sad when I see an offensive player punch the ball out and our guys can't their life. I don't know why our guys don't do that. I don't know why they don't.
That's one thing we gotta work on.
But they don't.
The peanut
Turnovers.
Sylvan punch.
Yeah.
It's a law averages. They'll come eventually.
Yeah. It's like Spags doesn't work on that part of the game, maybe. I don't know. But I think they need to really work on that because that's something that has worked for every team, including teams that we played. I mean, we've had the ball punched out of our guys' hands numerous times. So I think it's just something that we need to incorporate. But getting back to Wilson and the way the Broncos have been playing, look, they're playing a really good football team. Granted, it is a divisional game, but they're tied with the Chargers, which was supposed to, again, the playoffs and win the AFC West. Don't see that happening. Do you guys?
I mean, they won the off-season Lombardi Trophy, like they do every year.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Well, you know, and then you look at the Ravens; they've got most consecutive preseason wins in the history of football.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but they're not.
They went up just now.
I don't know what's happened. Did they score? We're a little bit behind.
They got a field goal.
Oh, is it field goal?
So it's
Yes, sir.
16-13 now.
Left.
Yep.
Well, I tell you this. That's not enough for. That is. Yeah, he can't. He just doesn't even scramble well anymore.
But yeah, we were talking about the AFC divisions a little bit earlier, and I think
Honestly,
so the only division that
have
have best chance of winning it. I think
All the
the
other
three
three
are pretty. It's pretty obvious it's the Chiefs
They're gonna win the
and
AFC
West, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, it's almost a given. I mean, it was a given if every year up to this point. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and with all the changes that everybody made, and we talked about these changes, you know, they assumed that, man, that was close, that field goal. They assumed, all these teams assumed that they were going to, you know, they went out and they never dreamed that Tyreek Hill was being cut or traded. So they went out and they got these speedy, quick corners. They got smaller corners. They got faster, you know, safeties. They did all these things to beat the Chiefs. And the Chiefs did a 3 on them and went out and got big-ass wide receivers and got rid of Tyreek Hill. And, you know, you can't play a two-safety shell against him much anymore. Go ahead and try if you want. But it threw everybody off. And I think given the fact that, you know, one of the Bills fans said, you know, he said it to me on Twitter. He said, I absolutely hate playing Mahomes because, in his words, which is not really true, I mean, of course, but he goes, you guys don't have any wide receivers, and yet he's still able to beat everyone. And we do have wide receivers. We've got some.
Yeah, we have a
good
guy
wide
called
receivers.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah. And Juju's no joke. He's no slouch. You know, it's taken time.
He proved that last night.
Well, it's going to. They proved it last night. I mean, 113 yards and a touchdown. So it just takes time. Mahomes said at the beginning of the season that you're not going to see a guy have a bunch of breakout games this season because there's so many targets and they're going to be a true spread offense. They're going to throw the ball to whoever's open. It's not going to be 1A, 1B. It's going to be 1A, Travis Kelce, whoever is up next. So far, it's been Kelce has been, again, you know, for the first 5 weeks, for the most part, was the guy because everybody else is getting acclimated. But now people are starting to learn the system. They're getting a little bit better. If one guy is failing, you've got somebody else like Juju that did step up yesterday. Travis should have, you know, had a couple of plays that didn't go his way, but those should have been his. I think it was a petty call. It just takes time. And, again, there's so much.
Yep. Yep. And defenses are playing to guard Kelsey. That's how good he is. I mean, he's having a linebacker and a safety double teaming him. That leaves, say we have 3 receivers on the field. You can't guard all 3 of them if you have 2 guys guarding Kelsey.
Oh, I think Justin fell off. He'll come back. He's having a rough time with internet where he's at right now. What do you think, Quentin?
About this the wide receiver core and Travis Kelsey.
Yeah.
I mean, because Travis Kelsey's going to get his, and Justin was talking about that teams are looking to stop Travis Kelsey, and when you do that, he may only get 25 yards, but he'll get 4 touchdowns on you. So,
agree.
Even if Travis Kelsey is he's going to make his impact on the game, and that's just, Travis Kelsey is the best tight end in the league and have a real legitimate argument for the best tight end in the NFL history. As being a Tony Gonzalez fan, it's really tough for me to say that.
Yeah, and honestly, watching Gonzalez and Newing, and never another tight end that ever like him. You had Shannon Sharp and you had, Antonio Gates and guys like that, but Gonzalez was just a different player. Smart individual that could block very well, but also Kelsey can't block.
It's not that he can't
block, it's the fact that he blocks smart. He doesn't put himself in a position to get injured. Where you got a guy like George Kittle that lives for hitting people. He wants to go head first into everybody, but season since he's been in the league pretty much. So I don't know, man. I think Kelsey's
and Travis Kelsey hasn't missed a game since 2013.
Correct. Well, other than COVID, when he got COVID, so it wasn't for injury; it was for COVID. And everybody out there that tripped out saying, "Oh God, we don't have Kelsey, we don't have Tyreek in the game. We won both times." So, and we're winning now without Tyreek. We didn't need him. Don't get me wrong. Would it be nice to have him on the field? Of course. Were we able to replace that production and still win? Of course. Why? Because we have Andy Reid, Mahomes, and now we have a great offensive line for the most part. For the most part. Dude, it's a lot better than we had in 2020. That's for sure. So, it's definitely. And Orlando Brown played well.
I thought this offensive line was going to be playing much better at this point, but I've hashed that out in my articles and on our podcast before, so I'm not going to get back into that.
Yeah, I think there's some improvements to be made. Trey Smith was injured.
And it's not just Orlando Brown either.
No, it's not. No, it's definitely not. I key on Wiley because he's been a big problem for Mahomes on that side. He lets people by him. He's not quick enough to get his body around. I don't know. He misses a lot. He gets whiffed. If there's a blitz coming, Mahomes knows that if it's coming from that side, he needs to automatically go the opposite direction. He has no choice but to move. So it's just part of building. And I think for the most part, Veach has done a great job of bringing in quality players that were able to fulfill the needs that we now. Think about the amount of players that we have on our field that are 6th and 7th round players that are day one starters. Your Jalen Watsons of the world. Those are the guys that you can't put a price on because, number one, you're really not paying them much, but yet they're playing like they've been in the league a couple of years. So, Watson, has he been burned a couple of times? Of course. But he's held his own against 3 of the best wide receivers in the league. Think about it. He really has. He's pretty much
one of the toughest matchups. Yeah, we've had one of the toughest matchups for a secondary for the teams.
And I put out a tweet yesterday. Why are they leaving him out there by himself on an island against Diggs? But he really did kind of hold his own for the most part. I mean, yeah, Diggs got 150 yards, but he went against a rookie, and that rookie knocked down. They took away the long ball away from Buffalo, which they have consistently thrown every week since week 1. And they didn't really have that against us. The one thing that we are struggling, again, we talked about it earlier, is letting a very subpar running back pick up yards on us. And I don't like that at all. Especially when we didn't let the Colts run on us that much. That's what kind of throws me off. You arguably got the league that didn't get many yards on us, but you got one of the running backs that ran on us. And granted, that's due to some injuries.
Kansas City Chiefs for you.
Yeah. It's all about positioning. It's all about putting the right players in the right position to win. And I think part of that is a learning curve, and part of it is getting – that's something that just has to go away. I thought Spags had gotten rid of that given the fact that he had so many rookies and first-year starters. But some of it's still there in his mind. And he's just got to go away from that. Who do they have replacing Turk right now? Who's in there?
Well, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. That's one of those positions that's just been, there is rotation there. So it's hard to say, oh, this is the guy that's replaced him.
Yeah. Rotated is what it is. And that's really not a great thing for a defensive line either, because you guys got to have, I mean, yes, you want fresh legs in for a couple of downs, but you still want that starting D on the field. When you look at the snap count from Sunday, it's pretty amazing to look at. You've got the snaps. Then you got guys that you wouldn't think that it would have played 80.
Yeah.
So I think of Carlos Dunlap, 46% of the snaps. In my opinion, I'm not a coach. All I see is that every time he's out on the field, he immediately makes a play. Immediately. So I don't know if they're going to elevate Danny Shelton. I don't know what they're going to do with him, but something's going to have to change a little bit right there to stop the run. And I think they need to figure out who's calling the plays on offense and stick with those plays and let these guys play. Let them play the game. They're the ones that are on the field. Let them play the game. You got a very smart quarterback. If he sees something, let him do it. It's that simple. If your running back isn't doing his job, put somebody else in. You can make that change. You have the power. It's not going to hurt a thing to deviate and put a different running back in. I mean, at this point, at this stage, we can say that, okay, you know what? He was a first-round draft pick. He has his ups and downs. He's been injured a lot. He's good one week, not good the next. Just need to eat our mistake and move forward. And play the people that can win, not worry about the depth chart. Oh, that was a face mask and a half. Did they even call it? Did they call that face?
Nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, they did. 4 pass interference penalties tonight on him. So apparently they did call. Yeah, they moved him way down. They're down off.
There's been like
15-yard line.
there's been 3 or 4 plays.
Another flag.
Yep,
Good God, man.
yep. It's awful.
That was on the offense.
Yep.
Wow.
Just going back and forth. It's just off of penalty.
How many yards of penalty did you say earlier, Quentin? 200 yards?
Let me see if I can find it.
No, I mean, that hold, but they didn't see the one against Frank Clark. That was out in the middle of the
It's at
field.
250 now. 17 penalties for 250 yards total.
250?
Yep. Broncos
Wow.
have had 10 penalties for 100. The Chargers had 7 for 75 yards. So they've really been just going back and forth there.
I wonder what can somebody look up what a record is?
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, I got to find that out. I know what the record is on that. That's going to be pretty amazing to find out.
I mean, it's got to be close for sure because this is ridiculous. Oh my, it's 374 yards from back in 19.
That's how long it's been? How many?
Yep.
354?
It's at 374.
Oh, 374. Well, there's 4 minutes left. I wonder if they could pick up another 100 yards.
Throw a Hail Mary and get a couple pass interferences, and it might happen.
Look at this, 3rd and 12. You don't really expect this much with Herbert. He's so good at. I mean, he's one of those guys that really is a fourth quarter comeback guy.
Yep.
And I don't know, did you guys notice yesterday that Allen has only had one fourth quarter comeback?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really hasn't been that. I mean, he's kind of clutch time, I guess you could say. There's not really a way to cupcake it. I mean, he's not shown up when they needed him. So I was actually talking today. That's been the biggest difference between Mahomes and Allen is that, I mean, you can compare them all you want, but when the game's on the line, it's Mahomes.
We lost internet there for a second.
Going back to the Chargers game, Williams catch for one of my fantasy matchups, so we'll hope that they see the ball again.
Oh, that was a crazy kick. That ball turned 3 times, or went 3 different directions. Well, it's tied up. 3:58 left.
Yep.
Let's see what Wilson does. Let's see if he can come back with a. What happened? Oh, I thought he got hurt.
Yep.
Hopkins looked like
He was hurt
fell down
earlier.
and got hurt.
He was hurt earlier. He had a hamstring injury earlier, so.
Oh, he did. Maybe that's what was hurting him when he fell down.
Yeah.
You're back.
Man.
Yeah, well, my earbuds died, and then I tried to. So when I turned the other earbud on, it was telling me that my computer couldn't detect the earbud while I was still in. I had to change it and come back.
Oh, I see. Well, turn your volume up a little bit if you can. Again, guys, this is all new to us. We're just now getting into the live streaming game, and we're learning it as we go. There is a way of you guys chatting with us and calling it. Yep.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're just trying to get this all figured. We started, we did a Facebook one yesterday, I believe it was. Or was it yesterday? Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday in the morning, during the morning game to test it out on Facebook. It worked okay. This is YouTube. The struggle that we've had so far has been Twitter for some reason. We have the capabilities of streaming on all this plus a radio station, and we're getting all that connected now. But it's a learning curve for everybody at this point. But we're getting there. So thanks to you guys, we've worked through some of the issues. working together works.
Yep. Yep. This will be great once we get everything going. So we just ask for some patience
Yes, it's getting
as we do.
Yes. Well, all tied up, 3:58 left. This is a crazy game to me. I honestly didn't expect this.
It can be a real improvement moment for both of these quarterbacks on who could. I mean, Russell Wilson, obviously he's experienced and he's proved himself time and time again, but he's kind of caught a little bit of hate. I mean, for deserved slow start of the season, and Justin Herbert's still a young quarterback trying to prove himself. So, I mean, this would be a good opportunity for either of them to kind of come in and prove themselves.
Well, I got to tell you, Herbert, I think, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I mean, I would put him top 5 for sure. I think he's outplayed a lot of guys that nobody expected him to outplay. I mean, it is what it is. He's done a phenomenal job. He stepped in to the rat's nest his first game and had no clue. Played really well, and he's been doing it since. So I don't know about you, Quentin, but I have a feeling that everybody talked about the Chiefs being cursed all those years. I got a weird feeling it might be the Chargers, because they seem to get to that edge and then just fall right off the cliff. It's like they don't see that edge, and it's 1,000 yards to the bottom, and they seem to hit that rock bottom. So.
Well, generally speaking, when it comes to playoff teams and playoff success, coaching plays a lot into that. And we know last year specifically, the Chargers head coach lost them some games. Went to Cleveland last week.
Yeah, very true. And Cleveland got destroyed, absolutely destroyed. And it was 38-15 yesterday. So, I don't know.
Quarterback, nonetheless.
He does play a lot into it. Yeah. A lot of on Denver's side right now, and it's rightfully so. I mean, they have the right to be frustrated. I think, somebody had said it. We talked about it on the show. You have to either be really good or really well liked, and Russell Wilson, at most degree, was not either. It was there for a while. It was a pretty rough go for him. Kyle Brandt actually brought up something that was pretty interesting. He said that when he does the NFL red carpet events, Kelsey will come up and say hi to him. Mahomes will come up and say hi to him. Everybody comes and talks, gives their take on what's going on. Russell passes on, puts his hand up by his face like this. We're not talking. Him and Sierra. They just actually said, I don't know if they think they're Jay-Z and Beyonce, but they're not. They're nowhere near it. And that tells you a lot about his
Not a good
mentality.
combo.
No. So this can unravel, and if they lose this game, it might just unravel on them. I mean, they're in a position. Look, Russell Wilson, 34 career game winning drives in the fourth quarter in the NFL since 2012. And weirdly enough, Matthew Stafford has more. Isn't that Matthew Stafford?
Yep. Those are probably one of the games he won with the Lions, too.
Yeah, pretty insane.
3rd and 6 here. What do you think they dial up?
I got a weird feeling you're going to see a little bit of movement by Russell Wilson right now. Maybe not on this particular play, but I think he's going to use his legs to get down the field fairly quick.
A huge sack.
They sacked him?
Yep.
Like I said, guys, we're behind a little bit. So.
Yep. Sorry. Untouched. Dial up the blitz there, and they
oh my God,
like a 5-yard loss.
Yeah, that was
So,
right.
Use the timeout too. When the clock's running down, you use the timeout to avoid the get sacked anyway. So you had all that time to come up
Yeah.
That's what you rolled out there. So, but you know what? You know,
Exactly.
gotta give it credit.
That was
to
a great-
Staley defense.
Agreed. I mean, that
Awesome
defense
call.
is strong.
Yeah. Yep. They have a strong defense, and I like the call there to dial up the
cover
blitz.
zero blitz.
Yep. They brought everybody, and so it's kind of hard to see on a third and longish, but they did it there and it worked. So you can't blame them.
No, not at all. And they came in blazing.
Yeah, untouched.
You just simply win the numbers game.
Yeah,
Man, he laid into him too.
They,
yeah, he did. He,
yeah.
Back.
He felt that. He'll feel that tomorrow.
Yeah, he's probably. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's feeling it right now. I don't think he has enough adrenaline in him not to feel it right now.
The fact the Broncos used their timeout there, so now they give after the 2-minute warning. So if the Chargers have the opportunity to just go down, bleed the clock, and kick a field goal to win it.
Yeah,
That way, so right at the 2-minute mark.
So that
So,
timeout. Once again, we have some more decisions that's going to get questioned.
yeah. I mean, they had 40 seconds there to sit there and talk about it on the sidelines, and like you said, Quentin, came up with absolutely nothing. Nothing.
That's the one thing
I mean-
that you can't allow to happen. You can't allow it right there. So that's really poor to see.
Activity whatsoever.
Yeah. This will also come down to the Chargers there, see what their coaching can dial up, because they're also notorious for blowing late games. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make the right play calls and drive down the field and punch it in.
I noticed the Chargers. What's his name? What's their coach's name?
Staley.
Yeah, Brandon Staley. He hasn't done the 4th and 1, 4th and 3 as much as he did last year. He tried it a few times, but it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
So,
Which when that
maybe
works, it's a great play call. But if it doesn't work, there's a lot of risk there. So,
especially when you're on the 50-yard line. I mean,
yep.
you lose. You're 4th and 2, and you lose it on the 50-yard line, or you get sacked 6 yards back. It really puts the other team in a great field position. So,
Check out that stat.
look at this.
Justin Herbert, 9 game-winning drives in fourth quarter overtime. And I think that number could be significantly more, but they've blown some of those games. So he's scored a touchdown, and they've somehow blown it. So he's probably up there top 3 realistically.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I thought yesterday.
Oh, check that out. He was going down for the sack. Pitch off to Eckler.
Oh, nice. A little Mahomes.
Excellent play there to just avoid the sack. I mean, didn't get any yardage out of it, but better than negative. So
exactly.
Right back to Eckler.
But I thought the Bengals lost that game yesterday, but they actually won at the end. They came back. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but it looked like they were going to lose it. And they came back and won the game. Got to give it to Burrow on that one, because he made a hell of a play to get him down the field. So, but they're still not playing any. I mean, we talked about it, Quentin. How many times we said they were going to regress this year? And man, have they regressed? They are not playing like the same Cincinnati Bengals. When you have a tougher schedule and you really don't do anything to improve your team, your true colors are going to show. And I think they spent $60 million, Quentin, on those 2 or 3 offensive players that they brought in. And he's still on task, or on, right now he's on par to be the most sacked quarterback in football. Again, for the second year in a row.
I mean,
Joe Burrow.
Part of it's his fault. Part of it's his fault because the way he plays. But on the other hand, it's hard to rebuild an offensive line.
It is. But that goes to show you, even though we may not think from an outside perspective that our offensive line is doing so well, but they actually are, because Mahomes could be under a hell of a lot more pressure than he's under, and he could have a lot more sacks against him. I don't know how many sacks he has this year so far, but I don't think it's even hit 10 yet. So,
Well, Patrick Mahomes has the sacks he runs himself into, when he could
Yeah.
get the ball out. He's getting better at it now. But that's just the way it is with quarterbacks that look to throw the ball down the field. You run yourself in. Obviously the Chiefs' offensive line has done a much better job than the Bengals.
yeah, for sure. I mean, they came into the season ranked number 1 in the league. Just for everybody out there, he lives in a very small town, and internet is not the easiest thing for him to grab. He's working on that right now. We've actually been trying to figure out ways of getting his, whether it be hardwired or whatever, so he doesn't have these internet issues as much. But looked like somebody got injured. Who was it? Was it Chubb that got injured? Oh, no.
Well, the Broncos have to use another one of their. So
Yeah,
once again, I mean, this is the Broncos can only hope for this game to go into overtime.
exactly. Yeah, Broncos got 1. Well, look, I mean, LA's got 3 timeouts. Broncos have 1. It's always nice to have a quality kicker. That's for sure. We found that out, didn't we? 62 yards, man. Wow. Bucker was not going to let that record stand.
Yeah, it's funny that record literally stood for 6 days. And then Bucker came in and was like, nah, this is my stadium. This is my record.
Yeah. He's hurting pretty good. That wasn't let's stall and ice anybody. He's hurting. Because that happens a lot. People don't realize how often that actually happens, to where, an injury pops up, and it's just to try to ice the offensive point. But he's feeling it. So
Speaking that kicker having hamstring issue, look, you can see he's got a brace.
yeah, he's
on.
wrapped. Yeah. That thing's actually pretty cool. What he's wearing, it puts heat, puts cold, and massages at the same time. I'd love to have one. I like to have one of those I can wrap my whole damn body in.
Yeah, that's because you're getting old.
Yeah, shut your mouth when you're talking to me. I am getting old. It's weird. I'm not as old as I feel sometimes, but broken bones will do that to you. And a life of sports and doing stupid things. It's crazy when you're young. You don't think about any of that. You never think about any of it. But then when you hit 40 and things start to ache a little bit, no big deal. You're still at the gym. You're still working out. Then 45 comes and you break the bone in your back. Puts a lot of things in perspective. Well, this is an agonizing 33 seconds. I don't know about you guys, but this is kind of agonizing.
Yep. See, the game-winning field goal come down to an injured kicker. Yeah, that'd be something.
Man, yeah.
Denver, you out?
It looks like they did. It looks like they did.
Well,
Great.
to be fair, this is a pretty big drive or a pretty big play right here, though. So they should have been the last one probably, but I mean they probably won't get the ball back either way. So unless they make a play here, so
Yeah, I mean, unless it's an interception, they're not getting the ball back.
Right. Oh,
Because as hard
you
as
almost
he
called
kicked
that,
the ball
but
with that hamstring, he still had plenty of leg. Oh, yeah.
I'd say you go for it late with like 3 seconds left, run a quick play, try to get something off. I mean, it'll be either overtime or
Going
you'll.
overtime. Now, they're-
Yep.
Interesting call. I mean,
I can see it in one aspect, but at the same time, might as well dial up a play, either going to overtime or get a miracle touchdown.
That's crazy. You have the
Strange.
most aggressive coach in the league is gonna let it go into over. You still have your. I can't tell if
I don't think he is.
I don't-
with 2 seconds left.
Uh-huh. Oh, they got 1 second on the clock. 1 second on the clock for mine.
Yeah.
So,
Ryan Staley doesn't know what he's doing.
Huh?
well, if
Did
this
you
is
say
Ryan
Quentin?
Staley doesn't know what he's doing, man.
There's times that he just makes me wonder how he gets through a day.
I need 2 fantasy
Wilson
points from
was
Mike Williams.
So
If maybe a
10-yard catch.
yeah,
What's
I'd
that?
appreciate that. He said I need a 10-yard catch for my fantasy game right here.
Yeah.
he's been in cardio this game.
He hasn't really been seeing much action, so it'd be nice.
I don't know the way Bucker was kicking it. Man, I don't even, they may try him out from there. Drama. No, not at all.
That's a really risky
Did
play.
he look like he struggled throwing that ball?
He did. It's a risky play there because you could really defensively you could draw pass interference really easily and put him right there with a 1 play to go. So that's interesting. I
because
mean,
they
that's
gave
kind of
him
a scary play there.
2
So
seconds back on the clock. Yeah.
yep, exactly.
Because if that
So
would've drawn a
good
penalty,
job.
would've put- yeah, would have put you.
Yep. So good job there by the Broncos secondary, kind of playing soft enough to not get anything.
I wonder what's going on with Herbert's arm.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like he got hit on the play too.
He still has that rib cartilage tear.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that actually.
Yeah, I think he got hit too as he threw it.
Oh.
Mhm.
Is this like the third game the Broncos
Gonna
have
win
played
this.
in overtime?
What's that, brother?
Yeah,
Is this the third time that the Broncos have played in overtime?
Yeah. All right, let's put down a bet. Can this end in a tie?
I don't like the fact that NFL games end in ties. I think if the score is tied at the end of regulation,
I don't like that idea.
because you won't have teams playing for ties and don't mess up when I'm trying to figure out what you need to win at the end to make the playoffs. I don't have to do like calculus to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, a tie's a loss. No matter how you look at it, it's a
Yep.
loss.
yeah, because wins are greater than anything else. So
Be the win.
there.
Yeah. Oh man. I've got that iPhone. I don't know how great or indifferent it is. iPhone. Mine was a couple back, and I can say about my old one is that it went through hell. I ran over, never broke the screen, continued to work. The only loss was I couldn't hear out of it anymore, so it was time to get a new one. The one thing I can say about that 14 Pro is I have the Pro Max, and man, that thing is loud. The speaker is amazingly loud on it. It's almost too loud. Start of overtime, guys.
All right. Who do we think wins this one?
The Broncos are getting the ball. I want the Broncos to win, which is a tough sentence to say, but
I do too.
just give the Chargers a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd
Here's
like
here's
to
my
see the
predict.
Broncos just. What is it?
Yeah, I think the Broncos kick a field goal here. Chargers get the ball back and score a touchdown to win.
Woof.
Yep.
That's your fantasy football coming out on you.
It might be, but I don't want it to be the ending necessarily, but I think that's possible.
Herbert doesn't look as
Patrick Surtain
nervous.
has been covering Mike Williams for most of this game, so I guess like I said earlier, Patrick Surtain's a really good corner.
He really
Mhm.
is.
So, I mean, I think the Chiefs would benefit most from a knock both out.
Yeah, really would.
I stand by what I said. If at the end of the 10-minute overtime it's still tied, you both lose.
I just want to see if Wilson can actually pull this off and show some of his, the Wilson of old. Because a touch in the new rules.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Touchdown wins it.
They get a touchdown here.
Yeah.
Ooh, controversial one there. Nope, hit the ground.
Punting already. Are they going to
Shoot, with these overtime rules, you might as well. I mean,
I would. I mean, if
yep.
4 inches
But
against, but again, it is
the thing is,
Broncos,
yep, and if you're Nathaniel Hackett, your Broncos fans will crucify you if you make the wrong call here. So,
oh yeah, no matter what, he's getting crucified anyway.
yep,
Guy probably goes home with bodyguards in an armored car right now.
you about have to. So.
Man. Yeah, that one.
Yep.
Russell just doesn't
Check
have
that
the
out.
same arm anymore.
You see that first quarter, Russell Wilson went 10 for 10, 116 yards and a touchdown. And since then, he's gone 5 for 17 for like 62 yards or something. So.
Seeing like Andy right now in this position, you'd see him. Oh, look.
Andy, right now, we'd have our receiver spinning in a circle after going in motion, handing it off to our
Yeah.
tight end, and then flicking it back to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but it
he
works.
like
So we
30
got
plays out of 1930 and figure that one out. So
Mahomes would face the back end zone and throw it behind his back.
well, I got to say, this is the first game that Wilson hasn't thrown a touchdown or an interception this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. This is the first Broncos game I haven't fallen asleep at by halftime either. So there's an accomplishment in itself.
As much as I don't want the Chargers to win, this game seems to be really dragging on.
And they're both division rivals, so I mean we benefit either way. But so like I'd appreciate a Chargers win to give me something to talk about.
That was just a terrible whiff. That coach got took out.
Oh, yeah.
And the players,
Oh man.
the coach is getting up. He's like, leave me my papers.
Uh-huh.
And the players are struggling.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's funny.
Turn
actually
to
funny.
the Vincent.
Roughing the sideline.
Roman all day, but
You can't get by coach. So.
Oh, that's hilarious. Look at the coach. Well, yeah. I can still hit.
Hey.
I'm all right. Give me my hat. Look at give me my hold my beer.
That'll be in the film room next week.
Oh, you know it will. Oh God. That was actually funny. That's going to be a blooper highlight reel for a while.
Uh-huh.
See, that's an obvious hold. You can see it. Why don't they ever see that against us, Quentin? Why?
I don't know.
Did you catch that?
Got nothing for you.
Yeah, you're awful quiet tonight.
Oh.
I know your earbuds are dead. I'm just messing with you. I can barely hear what you're saying. You got to turn your volume up.
Mike Williams almost got him a 30-yard grab, but I don't think he was in bounds. I think he just barely missed it. What do you guys think? Are you there yet?
No.
Oh. Man.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Oh. Oh!
They didn't give it to him. Would have been a heck of a catch. I don't know. That right foot was really close there, but I don't think he got it.
Well, he had one down and the other one drug out.
Uh-huh.
Drug out of the white line. Let me see.
Uh-huh.
One was down. It touched. That's a catch.
I thought it was, but they didn't give it to him.
What do you think, Quentin? Catch or no catch?
Well, it's unfortunate that reviews only come from the booth, but I saw some pebbles fly up.
Yeah.
It was close. You could see the skid mark from the turf come up.
Yeah.
That's the only benefit of
Man. Yep.
What the hell? Good. Man, that was a duck.
That was an awful throw. That's what it was.
Ah,
Uh-huh.
somebody shot that ball.
Oh. Shooting clay pigeons or something out here.
Yeah, man, that was terrible. Honestly, that far down the field, if that would have been us, that would have been a penalty on our defense.
Mhm.
Oof, you're giving Wilson some pretty good. Well, it's not that. Well, man, that was a booming kick.
Yeah, it
Put
was.
on the 30
Good
yard
kick.
line.
Mm-hmm.
Townsend better not be playing for another team because that guy there, he just kicked like a Townsend kick.
Mm-hmm.
Better not be moonlighting somewhere. Not too many guys can kick.
Did
the
you
ball.
see? Did you see Townsend get him drug test after the game yesterday?
No, did he really?
Yep. He tweeted out after the game. He was like, "We love to see that quote unquote random drug test." So.
I guess if you kick 174 yards, it's
Mhm.
gonna happen.
Yep.
I think, okay, what's this guy on?
That'd be something to punt peas.
Oh, that man. Got that Barry Bonds steroid rub.
Yeah.
Good times.
So. Mm-hmm.
Long 61 yards. You don't have it. Bucker's got you by a yard, buddy. Bucker, after that kick, he had another 3 or 4 yards left.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that would have been – that was really close for the record, I think, if they would have been back a couple of yards. So.
I love the
Ooh.
fact that he kicked that ball and knew it was gone.
Yeah.
He knew it was dead nut.
The pictures are the best thing about it. The ball was still in the air, and he was up pointing and looking around. And
Yeah.
So. But.
I don't know, guys.
Yeah, I had
dragging on.
Had a guy yesterday
After the game.
asking how it was and giving me a hard time for the Chiefs losing. And I was like, it was a really great game to watch. We got to watch the Bills, so great experience.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to continue to stand by my point.
Sure looking like a tie. When neither offense can move the ball like that, you might be
Bruh, I
giving both the
swear,
loss.
dude, really, that needs to be. You know what? Get rid of the roughing the passer call. All the other discussions we've had. The NFL rule that if you end, both lose. I'm tired of it. I hate ties.
Oh gosh.
Oh, shoot. Dialed up the blitz there. It almost won the game there.
Really far behind. Well, I was a little bit for some reason. It kind of. Yeah, you're right.
Caught back up. Oh, that's like half a second off from winning the game right there. I mean, still a great play, but
Yeah.
almost game winning. Man, this offensive line is not giving Herbert any time to throw the ball. Oh, did he lose the ball? Oh, nope. But
No.
it was a drop. That's what it was. It was a good defensive play
Oh.
there.
I don't know, man. That probably shouldn't have been a drop, but we'll go along with it.
Yep. Great play there, though, making a play on that ball.
Let's see if he has.
It's close.
I don't think he did.
It wasn't
They didn't give it to him.
Yeah, it wasn't a football move.
But great play.
Oh.
Oh, we got a false start on 3rd and 10. That is what'll lose you a football game right there.
Yeah.
Going for that 374 or whatever it was.
Yeah, no kidding. God.
Man, it's been sloppy for both these teams, which makes me feel good as a Chiefs fan.
Exactly, yeah.
So, only time I like watching horrible primetime games is
If this goes, so, clock strike 0, neither one of them score to tie, right?
Yes.
what? That was an awful play call there, or at least an awful throw. Maybe it was just a check down, but Herbert checks down to like 7-yard pass to Eckler there on like a 4th and 15.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I don't know if that was his primary. Check it down real quick, but someone made a really bad decision there.
I think he wanted to give his kicker a little bit of room.
Oh, did they force the fumble?
I don't know. I'm not that far in yet. I don't know why I'm always a.
I'm over here. I'm spoiling the game for you here.
No, it's a. Whoa.
Check that out.
That is a fumble.
Yep.
Well, the Chargers
see
might
it.
have just won this game.
Yeah, that's a really smart football play there. Man,
Yeah.
pushes his teammate into him. I mean, you can't touch the punt returner, but you can push his blocker back into him. That was a really smart play there to force the
Very
fumble.
smart.
Yep. So that we talked about what will lose you games. That'll win you a game right there. Playing that smart of football, that'll also win you a spot.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah. I mean, some of those plays like that are super underappreciated, but that is a really smart play there.
It really was.
So I mean, maybe a Mike Williams touchdown here, but I'm sure they're going to run out the clock and get a field goal. So
Yeah.
well, we can hope.
honestly, their kicker. Let's hope he can muster up one more. Even though I did want Denver to win this game, I mean,
yeah, I want it to be over with more than anything.
yeah, this has been a long night for a game.
So he's got 37 and 35-yard field goals this game, and this will put him at where's that? It'll be about a 40-yard field goal where the ball stands right now. 42-yard field goal where the ball stands. So
Yeah. Man, I don't
definitely
know
want to get some more yardage.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I wouldn't put that much pressure on him right now. Although that last kick,
when
I
he's-
mean, he boomed it.
When he's healthy, but I mean, it would be a shame if he hurt himself more going
Yeah.
Like that,
you know. So I mean, not every team has a safety that can come in and kick a field goal for him. So
I'm gonna say that that's partially on that Broncos special team block right in front of the guy.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bad. Not a smart play there. Oh man,
No.
these teams are really dialing up the blitz.
The Broncos are not allowing Herbert to get. I mean, he just lost 2 yards.
Yep. So
He's just making
man,
it right now.
they're just making it harder on me. I don't know how far back you are. They just gave Mike Williams about a 7-yard catch, so that's gonna make me losing my game by about half a point now. They just
It's funny.
Yep.
I've been doing
One-
so much. Oh, there it is. I've been doing so much with
Oh.
all of this. I haven't even looked at fantasy.
it put me up.
I don't
Never
even know what's
mind.
going on.
I am up by a 1/6 of a point right now, so we might have just came out with a. All right. We'll be all right. But,
11 for 13.
This is an interesting call here to bring your kicker out. I mean, obviously that'd be ideal, but the Chargers have been really bad about focusing on the term, and they'll
play guys with an injury.
and they don't really care about the long-term effects that it'll have.
No, that's absolutely. I mean, look at
So,
Herbert.
exactly. So, I mean, kickers are one of the most not only underrated, but I mean, most vital part of a good team. So, I mean, we noticed that with the absence of Bucker these past few games. So, I think you definitely want to make sure he's healthy in the long go around. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if this is a moon.
Just kind of a week off or something.
He'll get better.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil the game for you, JP. So,
last time out on this.
yeah.
Hackett used his last time out.
No, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm not going to spoil anything for you once anything happens. So let me know what you see so we can. No timeout was called, I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Yep. Sure enough. Oh, he's hurt, but yeah.
He drilled it.
Ball game. Yes, sir.
Wow.
I said I was going to spoil it, but it happened.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Yep, you could tell that one hurt, but
Denver's not making the playoffs. I mean, I was going to put it out there.
yep. So, I mean, great grit though shown by the Chargers to definitely, but they're able to muscle through and make some smart plays and kind of empty the tank there at the end to win.
Well, let's just put it this way. The Chargers have a really tough schedule coming up for them. Their tough schedule is in the back half. Denver, I don't think it really matters who they play at this point. I think the Chargers are probably going to struggle a little bit. But isn't Bosa out for the year?
Yeah.
Is Bosa out for the year?
I think kind of like the speculation, but I don't think it's official yet.
Neck muscle, so I'm not sure if he's out for
I think that
year or not. I think he's
it could likely
be the season.
Yeah. I mean, that you know, it's funny. Was it? No, it's actually Watt with Pittsburgh. When he's out of the game, they're 0-8. So I don't know what Bosa brings to this, but he doesn't do much against us for the most part because he can't get to Mahomes. But dude's in obvious pain. I don't really like their coach. I got to tell you, I can't stand their coach to put a guy out there in that much pain. And just he did it with Herbert, and now he's done it with their kicker. Honestly, I mean, just to risk further injury to win a game. I understand it's a divisional game, but damn. To me, it's just not good. Well, this was fun. Got our first live stream out, and seemed to work really well for guys that have never done a live stream before. So, well, now we know where we stand. Right now, we're a half a game up, I guess, on them, but we got a long season to go, and we appreciate whoever joined in. We know some guys on. They asked, and they did join in. We let them know. We appreciate you guys for showing up. Give us a thumbs up. This will be recorded, so you guys can listen to it at any point if you want. It's just going over Monday Night Football and some other things that we talked about during this interesting game, to say the least. Quentin, thanks for jumping on. And
No problem.
Yep, and thanks to Justin, even though he's had some issues with his internet. I mean, it happens. So we will talk to you guys again, I believe either tomorrow night or Wednesday, depending on what goes on with Justin. But if he can't make it for some reason, I'm sure somebody else will jump on for the next podcast. Appreciate everybody for showing up, and we will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.